Welcome everyone. This is my PSSA review video. Part 1, we're going to take care of the first 12 problems. You can actually get this review on my website. So if you want to first try the problems and then watch this video to see the correct answers. Okay, the first 5 questions, you're going to notice you may not use a calculator. So let's take care of the first 5 here. This should be basic arithmetic. Okay, let's take a look at problem number 1. Make sure you read each problem very carefully. Read it 2 or 3 times if necessary. This problem states that it takes 1 hour and 10 minutes to install 1 car alarm. So that's really 70 minutes. So 70 minutes to install 1. We have 7 hours. So 7 times 60 is 420 minutes. 70 goes into 420 6 times, so 6 is our answer. Okay, problem number 2 comes down to taking 142 million times 26. So a little shortcut for you. 142 times 26. And really, you can even save yourself some time. If you look at all the answers, we see the same 3,692 in each of the problems. And that's what you get. That's the product. When you take 142 times 26, you get 3,692. And instead of 142, we really have 142 million. So we need to add 6 zeros to the end. And this will be our answer. So when you look at this, 3,692,000,000 miles away. So that is G. Okay, problem number 3 is asking us to take 15% of $56.30. Let's just use the 56. And for 15%, let's start with 10%. 10% just requires that you move the decimal point back 1 place. So 10% is $5.60. And if you take half of this value and add it to the 5.6, we're going to then get 15%. So what I would do here is take half of 5.6, which when you do that is going to be about 2.8. Add this together and we're going to get our answer. So when you do this little calculation, you're going to see about $8.40. So a good little estimate would be to leave an $8.50 tip. Okay, I like number 4. You get $14 an hour, and that's if you work 40 hours, and then anything over 40 hours, you make time and a half. So this is a typical work problem. You should be able to do this. First of all, let's calculate if you work 40 hours at $14 an hour. Let's do that little calculation. So, and here's a little hint for you. Instead of lining everything up, I'm just going to bring down the 0, and it's going to be 16. So $560 you make for working 40 hours. Now, we worked overtime, so instead of making $14 an hour, we get time and a half. So half of 14 is 7. Add the 7 to the 14, so we actually make $21 for any hours over the 40. So we worked an additional 7 hours, multiply, and you get 147. Add that to the 560, and we are going to see our answer. So 6, 7, so a little over $700. Not bad pay. Okay, and finally number 5, the last question where we're not allowed to use a calculator, comes down to hopefully remembering from elementary how we handled dividing by decimals. So 0.2 goes on the outside, 0.0684 goes inside, and if you remember, what you have to do is we have to make the number on the outside a whole number, which is going to require moving the decimal point 1 place to the right. So really the decimal point is going to be up here. And now it's a simple division problem, especially since it's 2. 2 goes into 6 3 times. and then we multiply, we subtract, then bring down the 8. 2 goes in the 8 4 times, and again, this one's going to work out nice and neatly for us. 2 goes in the 4 twice, so our answer is 0.342, which is letter B. Okay, number 6, we're asking for which of the graphs has a maximum value of 10. This one should be pretty obvious. A maximum is your highest point. So my highest point of this graph for letter E is a 10. All the other ones would have values greater, or points that are actually higher than 10 as the Y value. So E is clearly our choice. Let's look at number 7. Number 7 comes down to knowing that the domain, that's your inputs, your X values. So I'm looking for the choice that lists all my X values. So when I'm looking at this, I'm looking for a -2, I'm looking for a 1, and I'm looking for a 3. So letter A is the answer. Okay, number 8. If you can count, you're going to get this one correct. There are 8 little divisions here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 out of 8 is 1. So 4 out of 8 is the 1/2 mark. So my smallest unit for this roller is 1/8. Okay, for number 9, just a simple substitution problem, and you can use a calculator for this. Now, what's really important, if you're going to use a calculator, -3 must be in parentheses. So when you enter that in a calculator, make sure the -3 is in parentheses before you raise it to the 4th power, or the calculator is going to give you the wrong answer. So make sure when you substitute, -3 is in parentheses. And I don't have a calculator right now. This is going to become 81, a positive 81, and this is going to be minus a -27. Minus a negative is really plus a positive, and when you add the numbers together, you get our answer of 108. Here you can see how you need to enter this problem into a calculator. Again, -3 must be in parentheses before you raise it to the 4th power. And just to confirm this, you can see our answer is indeed 108. Okay, for 10, most likely it'll help if you draw a picture. We have a square. Remember, square, all sides are equal. But instead of telling us the length of the side, they tell us the length of the diagonal. So we need to figure out the sides. And really, we have a right triangle, and hopefully everyone remembers that with a right triangle, we can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the missing sides. So in this case, my legs are equal, so I'm going to take x squared plus x squared equals c squared, which in this case, the c is your longest side, the hypotenuse, and we get 8 squared. So to simplify this, x squared plus x squared is 2x squared. 8 squared is 64. I'm going to divide both sides by 2 to solve this equation, and we're going to get 32. To solve for x squared, to solve and get x by itself, we'll do the square root of both sides. So my final answer is going to be the square root of 32 units. So the area then is nothing more than the square root of 32 times the square root of 32, which is going to be 32 units squared. Okay, so this one required some work. Okay, number 11, you definitely need a calculator for. To calculate the mean, you need to add up all 10 numbers and divide by 10. The median would require that you would rank all these from lowest to the highest and take the middle, and mode is the one that occurs most often, which in this case is going to be the 59,000. Okay, so really we can cross out B. We know B is not the answer just based on the mode. But if you have a calculator, and especially a graphing calculator, if you're familiar with the stat key, you can edit your list. I can enter all 10 values by editing my list. Now I already did that. I already have all 10 values in here. And once I have that, I can go back to the stat key, go over to calculate, and hit enter, and hit enter again. And I'm going to see that it's going to tell me right here is the mean. So it's 87,800. So it's either going to be A or D. And if I scroll down, they're going to tell us the median is 61,500. And all this critical data that is here is great for a box and whisker plot. So if you're familiar with using a graphing calculator to find the measures of central tendencies, you can find most of them just in one shot by using our lists. So answer in this case is D. Okay, number 12 is going to be the last problem that we're going to do for this video at least. It really comes down to knowing that if you take any triangle and you add up all the angles, all three angles, it really comes down to 180 degrees. Okay, so what really for me to be able to figure out this problem, I inserted some values. If I call this 50 and I call this 100, this will be 30 then. Here's my three angles, they add up to 180. So now, as far as my exterior angles, I'll use a different color here. If this is 50, supplementary angles add up to 180, so angle X has to be 130. And then here, this has to be 80, and this has to be 150. So really, if I add up all three of my outside angles, you're going to get 360. So 360 minus the 180, my answer is G. Okay, hopefully these 12 problems made sense. Go on and try some of the other problems in the packet, and I'll be back with another video that explains how to do the problem. It is Super Bowl Sunday, so I'm going to end this, and I'm going to enjoy the Super Bowl in a couple hours. Okay, take care.